and your program.
Oh, thanks. It's our pleasure actually to have you here with us. So I am Bruno. We have here Breno as well. And we are
Hello.
both students from the University Canada West here in Vancouver. And we are taking an MBA program. And we met each other. We are studying in the leadership program, in a leadership course. And we found you as a great leader for Canada. So sorry. Before first things first. So can we record this meeting so we can use it for the purpose of our assignment of leaderships in Canada?
Absolutely.
Oh, thanks.
Oh, thank you very much.
We'll start recording right now. Where is the button? I can't record. Why? Do you have the option over there, Breno, to record? I don't think I can. I don't know why, because I am the hoster. This is awkward.
No,
Well,
only people in this org can start recording.
Well, I can record if another app.
Sure.
Okay, so we are recording. So Farah Bastien. So we are here with Farah Bastien, founder of Watch Her Win. And you were also nominated between the 100 most powerful women in Canada in 2023. Congratulations, Farah.
Yeah.
What does that make you feel?
I don't know. It makes me feel powerful. Not that I needed an award to feel powerful. I already felt pretty powerful. But it was a good acknowledgement. It was an acknowledgement from my community and the leaders I had, looked up to for a long time. And they're the ones who nominated me for the award. And to be recognized with some of the, incredible Canadian women in the space was just awesome.
Okay, that's great.
Okay, thank you, Farah. You have led the data and innovation work at MLSA, Maple Leafs, and co-led SportX, and launched, and you are the founder of Watch Her Win. How do you describe your leadership style in your own words? And what do you hope people feel after working with you?
I'm a very much a people-led leader, but I'm also chaotic. That's just the nature, which is why, I just thrive in chaos and I embrace it. And I think people working with me will feel the process of embracing chaos. It's just a part of our life these days, I think. And I think most people walk away feeling energized or just feeling like they have all these incredible ideas that they feel like they can run with.
Well, when you mean chaotic, can you give us an example of that in your past?
Yeah, so I think how I lead is I try to be very sensitive to what's happening in the world, what's happening in someone's personal life, and what's also like a business objectives or like an individual's objectives. So when you kind of bring in all those four elements, by nature, it is going to be chaotic, right? So I've had, data scientists I've worked with who would show up to work, but their family is in another country that is going through turmoil. So how do you kind of operate in a sensitive space where there is chaos and it's an external chaos, but you're still able to create a safe space for an employee to thrive, or at least, take a pocket of peace in the work that they do. And how I've been able to do that, especially in my workplace or my old workplace when I was at Maple Leaf Sports, was just treat people like people and acknowledge the chaos. But at the same time, remind people how incredible they are and why they're in the room, and that the fact that they belong there. And then just work on super challenging problems. I love working on things that often people say cannot be done, and nothing, never, it's most challenges I've taken on is never like a technical dilemma. It's typically like there's all these external factors that stops us from like running with this. And I think often the chaos that comes with it is just people telling you no in so many different ways. And I think you just have to kind of find like that pocket of turning those challenges or constraints into opportunities, right? And then motivating a team or rallying a team to feel that same energy. So I would say, like, you know, when I say chaotic energy, it's just managing all of those external factors to what you have to deliver on, is always something I thrive in.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
great. And you worked for more than 8 years for Maple Leafs, and then you now you're suddenly move out, and you open your own company, Watch Her Win. So what led you to take this huge decision?
It wasn't an easy decision because working at MLSE, and even I think up until the day I decided to leave, I would tell people it's my dream job. Like
Mhm.
working at the intersection of sports and technology, there's a lot of challenges, but same thing, there's just incredible people in the space, so smart, so genuine about their love for sports. Most of them are these massive sports fan, and being around like some of the best athletes in the world, coaches in the world, like there's no other better feeling. So if you ever get the opportunity to work within the sports universe, I would highly recommend it.
Mhm.
What made me move away from it was just kind of, you know, I wasn't feeling there was enough chaos for me to a certain degree,
Mhm.
but I also felt that I have two girls, I have one boy, and you know, last 8 years of my life, I worked in men's pro sport, and I wanted to find ways to contribute to women's sports.
Mhm.
One of the best way to contribute to women's sports is to watch the sports on TV and to watch it on like purchase tickets to watch the games. But to me, given my experience, I felt like there were other ways I could contribute, and I just kind of followed my passion and my like heart in that space in that case, and just decided to take the leap of faith and almost take a break from work. And then that's
Mhm.
how Watch Her Win kind of started. Initially, it was a side of the desk project. Now it's evolving into something completely different.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, it's very brave of you. I think I saw you mentioning in your interview for the ESPMW Summit Canada that it's only you and ChatGPT on this project.
Yeah. I mean, we have evolved. So it's not just ChatGPT, it's also Claude,
Mhm.
and Cursor and all these like beautiful AI tools that makes like it's so much easier for founders
Mhm.
to get started or launch an MVP. It makes it incredible for like sports fans to get started, you know, like you don't have to work for a sports company now. You can be a sports fan and build your sports community using these like incredible AI tools. So I feel I feel very lucky to launch my platform in a world where AI makes our jobs a lot easier.
Okay, thank you.
Nice. Watch Her Wins tackles a real visibility gap in women's in sport. Can you talk more about that? What are your goals and what do you expect to achieve?
Yeah, my mission is very simple. Bring in more eyeballs to women's sports league, sports team, sports athlete, and incredibly talented women's sports creators in the space. So it's basically journalists, creators on social media. That at a high level is like what I'm looking to achieve. The reason for that is currently, you know, women's sports is very new.
Mhm.
And yes, it has existed. WNBA has existed for a long time, but it hasn't existed as long as NBA. In Canada, you have Northern Soccer League, which is Canada's first professional soccer league, kicking off their inaugural season, or they just kicked off their inaugural season this year. You have PWHL, which is our professional women's hockey league, that also kicked off. This is their third season now.
Mhm.
They're starting their third season, so you have all these like incredible uh moments happening in sports, working in men's sports, what I've learned is that there's not only this urgency to, yes, you can get some new users, but you also need to retain those users, and you need to think about long-term sustainability of the brands. So to me, I just don't want fans to get lost in like what the moment is now, and I want fans to start thinking about, how do I create rituals around women's sports? Like, are you guys sports fans?
I'm a huge sports fan.
Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
I am a sport fan, but I don't watch it as much as Breno, so he's the expert here.
Okay, perfect. So Breno, like, you might have situations where, like, for me, and again, this is very much from the lens of men's sports because I'm a huge Toronto Maple Leafs fan. My sports ritual is literally, I come home from work, and I'm so lucky that at work I talk about sports most of the day. I come home from work, I party with my kids, and then around 7 o'clock, that's my ritual. That's game time, right? There's some type of hockey game on, a basketball game on, but it's very men's sports focused,
Yeah,
right?
all the
Um,
time.
all the time, and I just grew up that way. And then, it's just habit. I turn on the Leafs game, and then the next morning I catch a podcast, or in the morning, first thing, we watch YouTube clips of highlights, or I'll turn on like Sportsnet, which will show you like the top 10 moments from the previous day. So again, very much men's sports focused. The ritual is, right. The women's sports is very like, it's still not a ritual in my house yet, right? Sorry, you were going to say something, Breno?
No. Sometimes at least in the sports programs that I watch, is they sometimes they mention, oh, that team won that championship in women's now. We have some in Brazil. We have women's national soccer championship, and we also have in South America Libertadores, that also the women's championship. But they like, oh, the Corinthians won this tournament, and that's it. They don't say how was the game, who played, how who scored. So I was just to complete your answer. Like, well, sometimes they don't say it all about women.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not covered, and fans myself, who's so aware of what is happening in the women's sports world. I still have moments in my life, especially when the Toronto Maple Leaf season kicks off, where my rituals are very still biased towards men's sports. And I'm not saying like I'm, building things to take away eyeballs from men's sports, but I just want to create or give women's sports the same level of playing field, where I want the fans to know, like, hey, where can I watch the Toronto Scepters play tonight? And maybe the Leafs are playing on another night, right? Like, how can I create these beautiful rituals for my girls who are going to grow up having all these sports being broadcasted? But I just want to make sure that there are eyeballs at my house on those sports, but also eyeballs for my communities, right? And then these rituals kind of continue, where women's sports doesn't become kind of an afterthought, but it becomes part of someone's like day to day. Like, people are looking forward to like Rugby World Cup this Saturday at 12:30 p.m. Canada's number 2, right? Our women's team is number 2 in the world. And like most people, it's still kind of a bit of an afterthought. So to me, it's just like, how can I create these incredibly new rituals and make discovery of women's sports more easy for fans? Because a lot of these fans are also new, because the leagues are new, the teams are new, right? Toronto Tempo is going to be the first women's basketball team in Canada in pro sports, and they're kicking off in 2026. So they're going to get all these 9,000 fans in their building that are brand new. But their scope is international. Their scope is also all of Canada. So to me, it's basically like, how do you get all the fans watching now, and then they become just as addicted to women's sports as I am, essentially.
Okay, that's perfect. Yeah, that's I think that's a huge challenge, right? Because with all those new teams and those new players that are getting along to compete, I think that's like a huge challenge. And for now, watch her win. You're covering the Canadian leagues, right? Have you ever think to going global with watch her win?
I have, but I feel like I have so much like national pride. Like I have so much pride as a Canadian. To me, it's imperative to build the Canadian community
Hmm.
as sports fans, and not that international is an afterthought. But to me, it's basically I have to like I don't I have my biases about what the Canadian sports market looks like. So when I do something in the international space, I want to do it in a meaningful way,
Okay.
which is like getting familiar with their brands and their landscape so that, we're able to kind of take this globally. But, as a Canadian, I have an incredible pull to make our university sports, women's sports more accessible, making fans more aware, more proud of where they went to university, from like a sports perspective, cheering for their sports team for the universities that they've gone to, and then that then translating into like a national level, right? Cheering
Hmm.
for their national teams, cheering for their grassroots team, cheering for the pro sports leagues that are popping up. So I think that's why I'm very Canadian focused. It's just almost like my calling.
Okay, that's perfect. Makes totally sense.
Well, taking back, recording the interview that Bruno, also already mentioned the ESPN summit scene. You said that when a child, you watched your cousins play cosplay as a Czech while you waited on the sideline. And then an interview for She's for Sports back in 2020. We did our homework.
Yeah, that's
According
crazy.
according to some research and numbers, most of the kids are told that some professionals areas are just for men. So, what does both experience make you feel, and how does that impact your professional trajectory?
Sometimes it makes me feel very fragile because it can be very emotional, right? Like, again, watching my cousins play basketball when I was clearly way better than them in that moment, but I just couldn't play. Yes, even to this date, it triggers a very emotional response in me. And it was literally just a rule for girls not to be in that court. It was
Hmm.
the boys' court, and I just had to watch them play. I know, but I'm also incredibly lucky. When I was 14 or 13, I got to play in one of the first professional basketball. It's not even professional. It was the first women's basketball like championship ever in Bangladesh, which is where I was born.
Mhm.
Then I moved to Canada when I was 15, and like to me, it meant everything. Being able to not just learn to play, but compete against other people. It didn't matter. I was playing against like 30 and 40-year olds.
Hmm.
But it's just the fact that I was able to compete was probably one of the most like life-changing experience for me. It was the moment that made me feel like, yes, I either want to be an athlete, which is funny because I'm not as athletic as some of the top pro people in the world.
Mhm.
But to me, it's just like if I can be an athlete, I want to make an impact in the space. I want to work in sports. And that's always been my mission. It wasn't an easy path to get there. For me, it took me about like 10 years and working in other places to finally land my dream job at MLSE. But I think, yeah, it was like a very emotional journey. Even, working at like intersection of sports and technology, there's often, like it is very male dominated. Technology is male dominated. Working in men's pro sports is very male dominated. So sometimes there are days where your voice might not be heard. It doesn't mean like my coworkers are sexist or people I'm interacting with are sexist. They just have biases, just like we all do. So I think in those moments are very emotional and makes me feel very fragile, but also puts like a chip on my shoulder to make an impact in a positive way.
Okay, that's great. And
Perfect.
talking about your professional experiences, we took a look at your LinkedIn profile, and we saw some testimonials from colleagues who really admire your hard skills as well as your soft skills. They talk a lot about your teamwork abilities and how you care to help the improvement of the whole team. So, why do you think this is important to work in a team and always assist your teammates and help your colleagues?
Because otherwise working is isolating, and that's what I'm feeling right now as I've founded Watch Her Win and I'm doing everything on my own. And although that sounds so like incredibly exciting
Mm-hmm.
to launch something by myself, but I think, to me, being able to work with a team, especially, I've been so lucky. I've been able to work with some of the greatest people in this planet, on this planet. And through that process, I've learned that you are able to learn so much from one another. Even when you encounter challenges, those are still like learning moments, right? Even when, you walk away from a conversation and it doesn't feel great, those are still learning moments, right? And I think that's where working as a team, but just not as a team, a high performing team, and understanding what it takes to build a high performing team is key. And yeah, like it's just, for me, I always look to work with people that are strong in areas that I'm weak at, right? And vice versa. So we are able to kind of create a culture of continuous learning. And you can only do that when you're working as a team, understanding what your role is and then understanding what the team objective, the business objective is very clearly, and then working towards that relentlessly.
Okay, that's great. Breno?
Well, my next question may be tricky, but I would like to hear your intake about that. Recently, New York Times, through their sports magazine, The Athletic, they covered how stalking in women's sports has developed to a whole new level with the social media, and I would like to hear your words about that. If you have something to say, if you Watch Her Win has something program about that or some thought about that.
So I think unfortunately you can't control crazies. And I think like those people need serious help. I think one thing you could do as a social media brand is be able to better identify crazies and stop promoting, things that make crazy people more crazy, right? Like I feel social media kind of uh creates this channel where everybody feels like there's no repercussion for what they do, what they say. They can hide behind like just an account. And then some people, especially a little on the crazier side, and when I say crazy, they could have very valid medical reasons for that. Um, those individuals are basically feel like they can then move that craziness away from social media and actually accomplish it in real world. They stop seeing athletes like they don't respect athletes boundaries, right? And I think for women's sports they don't have the same resources to protect the team as men's sports do. They don't travel the same way as men's sports do. Working in men's sports, I know exactly like the rituals our teams had when it comes to traveling and how well protected they were from the fans. How well, and not like, again, our teams, our athletes love the fans, but it's essentially just they, even loving the fans, they have their boundaries, and their teams and professional leagues basically for men's sport, I feel like have created some type of shelter because they have the funding, they have all this money available. So teams, travel on private jets. Athletes make a lot of money, so maybe they're not taking regular airlines, right? But I don't think the women's sports get that same luxury, and therefore they encounter all of these challenges that are, incredibly unsafe for the sports. And one thing I would want the world to avoid is victim blaming, like blaming the athlete in terms of how they appear, how they dress, or suggesting that it comes with the success and this is something they deserve, and then making sure there are proper repercussions both on the digital side and the physical world for people taking these actions of like stalking and not understanding what a human being's boundaries are, what a human being's rights are.
Thank
Okay.
you.
And if you had like a magic wand, what would you do with the influence that you have and the knowledge that you have right now? What things would you like to change in the world or in the sports for women? I mean, what would you like to realize if you have like a magic wand?
If I had a magic wand, I would just get like I don't think women's athletes or the teams or the leagues actually have to do anything differently, right? They're so like the games are so attractive. You just need fans to be aware of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then if I had my magic wand, I would just create awareness on the fans brand. So they flock towards the brand, they flock towards the game, and they pay the big bucks that they pay to watch men's hockey for like a women's hockey game and vice versa. Um, and also like the impact of like sports to me goes beyond just like, fans attending games. I think, today, and this is a very like personal view, like social media, like TikTok or Instagram, it's like polluted with content that I don't necessarily know is like beneficial to society at a large, right? And there are some positive that comes out of it, but I feel like sports has this ability to really unite people at all fronts. And to me, it's just like, like 10 years from now, if I had a wand, then when my kids are on social media, their version of social media feed is positive because there's so much positive sports content around it. They don't see body image as like, I need to buy new clothes to look pretty, or look handsome, but I need to buy new clothes so I can run faster. I need to get new shoes so I can move quicker without knee pain or whatever, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
whatever people's poison is. But to me, it's just like I want the next version of the world, at least for my kids, to be very much focused around like a positive way of thinking about your body, thinking about your society, thinking about, like how you contribute. But I think, again, working in sports, like my world is all sports. I feel like sports is sometimes at the central of it.
Okay, that's great. Do you still have time for like two more questions or?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
sure.
Okay, thanks.
Oh,
Go ahead, Bruno.
well, getting back to the leadership, I bet in lots of situations you have to say no. Can you recall us what are like, well, what are your standards when you say no? And yeah, and do you know what I mean? Like,
Yes, of
well,
course.
this is
Um, I mean, I am. I say no very infrequently. Like, I say no to my kids all the time. But when it comes to people, all they need is my time or my effort. Like, I do have a hard time saying no. But where I do say no is whenever there's a misalignment in values, right? That's when I think I've created a very clear boundary in my mind where what my values are, where I stand, and then just operating based on that. And that way, like if I say no, I don't have any like bad feelings towards it, but I also try my best not to judge the other people on the other side for whatever their values are, right? To me, I think as soon as there is misalignment for values, that's kind of my boundary to say no.
perfect. Thank you.
Okay, that's great. And is there any message would you like to send for sport fans, or especially like for kids that are like in that phase where you dream like, what am I going to be when I grow up? What can I be when I grow up? So I have two kids, and my boy always tells me that, oh, I want to be like dad, and my daughter, oh, I want to be like mom. So is there like a message would you like to say for those young kids, or is there any question that would you like me to ask you?
Yeah, I don't have any questions. I think you've done a really good job highlighting some like incredible questions where I was just like, I haven't even thought about it.
Mhm.
Um, but my messaging would be honestly for kids to be curious, not decide today what they want to be, but just figure out what they enjoy doing, right? And the other part is just like I don't know, the world just needs more kindness, more peace, and we need to go back to a world where like being environmental friendly is important. And I say this being like, using all these different AI tools to build my software, and a lot of these tools aren't necessarily great for the environment, but I think like just having values that were so important in the past, just bringing them back, but also like empowering kids to feel curious and building confidence out of that curiosity, I feel like they're going to be successful in whatever the new world is in the future, right? So that's it. Like, they can be curious and still want to be a Bruno or a Breno, or they can be curious and want to be Sydney Colson or Caitlin Clark or all these like incredible athletes.
Oh, that's great. Just one last question. Where do you want to be here, like from the next 5 or 10 years? Have you ever like think of that, like your future realizations?
No, not necessarily for myself. I think for me, I just want to be happy. I think happiness is understated, and I think whatever I do, I just want to find some level of content, and I want to have like healthy kids, and I want to be healthy myself. And like same thing, I want to have like in 5 years, 6 years, 7 years from now, I want to continue making impactful changes to the world I live in. And that's it. It's very like Superman, the new Superman movie type of answer.
Mm-hmm.
But I truly believe that. I feel like I don't necessarily think career-wise exactly where I'm going to be, but I think more about the impact I'm going to make.
Okay, that's great. That's perfect. I'm all clear for my side. Breno, do you have any other question?
Well, I have thousands of questions for her. It's so lovely to talk to her.
Likewise, it was lovely meeting the two of you. And sorry I didn't get a chance to, ask the two of you questions, but hopefully there's a next round or some version whenever you are in Toronto and you're catching like a women's soccer game or basketball game, then you hit me up and I'll show up with you.
Oh, that's great. Thank you
appreciate
so much, Farah. Just a technical question. So do you allow us to share this video with our classmates? I think they will really love to watch it too.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, that's great. Thank you for your time, Farah. This was a lovely interview, and I hope you the best for you, your kids, and your family.
Thank you. Likewise.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.